Has the U.S. Air Force's so-called flying gas station mysteriously disappeared while operating near the Strait of Hormuz? After declaring an in-flight emergency, the American KC-135 tanker vanishes while flying close to Iranian-controlled waters. As reports of possible GPS spoofing surface, are U.S. forces facing growing disruption in one of the world's most volatile airspaces? With distress signals echoing over Hormuz, is the U.S. Air Force now confronting a new and invisible threat in the Gulf skies? And as multiple American aircraft reportedly squawked 7700, why has there been complete silence from Donald Trump so far? As tensions continue to rise across the Gulf region, reports on May 5 claimed that a key U.S. military aircraft disappeared while flying over the area. A Boeing KC-135 Stratotanker reportedly transmitted an emergency squawk code while operating above the Persian Gulf. According to Flight Radar 24 data, the aircraft issued the internationally recognized 7700 distress signal during the flight. In global aviation protocols, a 7700 squawk code typically indicates a serious in-flight emergency requiring urgent attention. The refueling tanker had reportedly departed from Al Dhafra Air Base in the UAE before losing signal coverage over Qatar. Tracking information further suggested that the KC-135 entered a circular holding pattern before descending from radar visibility. Reports claimed the aircraft may have been attempting stabilization procedures ahead of a possible emergency landing. Authorities have not yet disclosed what exactly triggered the emergency situation involving the American military aircraft. Iranian outlet Fars News also reported the alleged disappearance of the U.S. Air Force refueling tanker. However, neither Washington nor Tehran has officially commented on the status of the KC-135 so far. The last reported loss involving a U.S. KC-135 tanker occurred during Iran's attack in western Iraq in March 2026. Reports also claimed that another U.S. Air Force refueling aircraft, a KC-46A Pegasus, may have encountered trouble in the region. Iran's Fars News alleged that the KC-46A similarly transmitted the 7700 emergency code while flying over the Persian Gulf. The aircraft reportedly carried out an emergency landing in Saudi Arabia instead of continuing toward Tel Aviv. As with the KC-135 incident, there remains no official explanation regarding the cause of the reported emergency involving the jet. Amid soaring tensions with Iran, Donald Trump's top diplomat has dropped a political bombshell in Washington, confirming a major shift in the U.S. war strategy. From the White House podium, Secretary of State Marco Rubio declared victory and announced that Operation Epic Fury is officially over, as attention now swings to Project Freedom. Rubio said the Iran campaign has entered what he called a new phase, with Washington pivoting from full-scale strikes to a mission focused on securing the Strait of Hormuz. He insisted that Project Freedom is now the centerpiece of U.S. policy in the Gulf, aimed at protecting commercial shipping and keeping one of the world's most vital choke points open.
Operation Epic Fury is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal. He would prefer to sit down, work out a memorandum of understanding for future negotiations that touches on all the key topics that have to be addressed, a full opening of the strait so the world can get back to normal. He preferred that be negotiated through the route that Steve and Jared have been working and that all of us have been supporting. That's the route he prefers. That is so far not the route that Iran has chosen. And so the result has been that the United States has to do something about the fact that we're the only nation on earth that can do anything to open up a lane within the Straits of Hormuz to get product and to rescue these people that are trapped in there. And that's what we're undergoing now. What that may lead to in the future is speculative. I'm not going to speculate about what it would take or what it would do. But look, the message to Iran, these guys are facing, they are facing real catastrophic destruction to their economy, generational destruction to their economy, generational destruction to the wealth of their country, imposed on themselves by the actions that they're taking. They should check themselves before they wreck themselves in the direction that they're going.
Meanwhile, President Trump has abruptly halted Project Freedom, just one day after announcing the high-stakes mission to break Iran's grip on the Gulf. The U.S. had launched Project Freedom to shepherd stranded cargo ships through the mined missile-threatened Strait of Hormuz as Iran's blockade choked off global trade. But on day one of the mission, Iran allegedly hit back hard, bombing the UAE's Fujairah and multiple cargo vessels, turning the Gulf's rescue operation into a fresh crisis at sea. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "Based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we have had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally, the fact that great progress has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran, we have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed." Unquote. The announcement came right after President Donald Trump sent a formal update on the Iran war to the U.S. Congress. Trump told lawmakers that Operation Epic Fury was conducted within the limits of the War Powers Act of 1973, insisting he had stayed inside the law. Under that act, any U.S. president must report significant military action to Congress within a 60-day window or risk losing legal authority for the operation. Trump argued that the mutual ceasefire with Iran meant the 60-day deadline was never breached because active hostilities had effectively stopped. He went further, saying the war had terminated in effect once the ceasefire took hold on April 7, even though U.S. forces stayed in the region. Despite that, reports from the Gulf said Iranian forces opened fire on U.S. warships earlier this week, testing the fragile truce at sea. The U.S. military says it hit back quickly, destroying several Iranian attack boats in the exchange, according to Central Command.
At U.S. ships several times in the last 24 hours. What do they need to do to violate the ceasefire?
Well, you'll find out, because I'll let you know. They know what to do, and they know what to do. They know what not to do, more importantly, actually. And, they fired them in little boats with pea shooters, the pea shooters, little boat with little, why? Because they don't have any boats anymore. The Navy is comprised of, they call them little boats, right? Boats or little boats. And they're fast, yeah. They're so fast that they had 8 of them and they're all gone. And they're fast, but they're not fast like a missile. A missile is slightly faster. They're all gone, so they're looking around for little boats to try and compete with our great Navy. We have a Navy that's unbelievable. We set up a blockade, as you know very well. Not one ship. A couple tried, and they got their engine shut out. You remember, I think it was it was a great display. A ship wanted to go through, break the blockade. They were warned not to. And then they were warned again by a young Annapolis captain of the ship with a great look, central casting. These people are central casting, I'll tell you. And he said, don't do it. Then he said, evacuate your engine room with this unbelievable loudspeaker that goes over water. He said, you have 10 seconds. And then from 4 miles with one bullet, it went right into the engine. And Gary, the ship stopped very quickly. They hit the engine with one shot. It wasn't a missile. They don't want to waste a missile on it. It's too easy. And we had another one at 2000, one of the biggest ships in the world. They were warned. And he said, go back now. Go back right now. You will be shot at within 10 seconds. Yes, I am going back to Iran. I am going back. And that was the end of that. Right? He went. It took him 10 miles to turn. The ship was so big, but they respect us. They didn't used to respect us, but they respect us more than we've ever been respected. Our country now is the hottest country anywhere in the world. We had a country that was dead when we had that group of people that ran this country with their open borders, letting anybody come in from the Congo, from countries all over the world. They came in from prisons and mental institutions. We had a country that would have been a dead. If they won the election, this country would have been a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said recently that if Iranians were armed, they could take over their regime. Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you can have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right between the eyes, and you see a guy fall and another one fall, and you have no guns, very few people would be able to stand there and do it. I understand. I tell them not to. Don't forget, they killed 42,000 people last month. 42,000 unarmed protesters. They have no guns. So they had a 250,000 people crowd, and they had snipers. They had like 4 or 5 snipers in buildings up high. And you're standing there, and all of a sudden the guy on your left goes down, and somebody. That's what happened with the women protest. They had 200,000 women protesting a year ago, and everyone thought that was the end of Iran. And then all of a sudden, a woman dropped dead with a bullet right there, always right there. Then another woman dropped, and then the word started to spread, and then there was panic, and then they ran, and so I don't want that to happen. We don't need that, we don't need it. But the only reason they're not, they want to protest so badly, but they don't have weapons. Yeah.